Welcome to Business Sense. I am Ralph Rivas. Today we have a very exciting episode because we're talking about the REIT party. Property companies are raising capital through the equities market by getting into the Real Estate Investment Trust or REIT. REITs, of course, pool the capital of multiple investors to help finance its operations, future acquisitions, and developments in real estate. REITs pay its investors dividends annually, and they're required to distribute 90% of its distributable net income. The first to do this, of course, is Ayala Land, then there's Double Dragon, and there's more to come. This time, we're talking to Filinvest REIT. Joining us are Maricel Brion Lirio, President of Filinvest REIT, and Ana Venus Mejia, CFO of Filinvest REIT. Hi, good day to you.
Good afternoon.
Hi, good day.
Hello.
Hello, thanks so much for joining us. Now, the Philippine Stock Exchange recently approved Filinvest REIT. Of course, your mode of listing is via IPO. You're going to be on the main board, and offer price is up to 8 pesos and 30 centavos. So, can you describe to us the portfolio of Filinvest REIT, tenants, and businesses of the said properties?
Yes, the property portfolio of Filinvest REIT Corp or PhilREIT consists of 17 office buildings on prime property totaling over 300,000 square meters of gross leasable area. PhilREIT has high-quality tenants and a strong tenant mix with 88.4% of occupied GLA leased to multinational global BPO tenants and only 2.8% leased by POGOs. Our top 10 tenants are quality top global BPO firms, which accounts for about 59% of the total GLA. So they belong to various industries such as banking and finance, healthcare, IT, and outsourcing, to name a few. No? So all of our buildings that comprise PhilREIT's property portfolio, 16 in Northgate Cyberzone within Filinvest City in Alabang, and 1 in Gateway of Cebu IT Park in Lahug City in Cebu, are all grade A as referred to and as stated by Jones Lang LaSalle. Northgate Cyberzone, which was established as the first campus-style IT park in the Philippines, is strategically located in Filinvest City, the first central business district in the Philippines to receive a LEED version 4 Gold for Neighborhood Development Plan certification. So Northgate Cyberzone also has many amenities and features that cater to tenants in the BPO industry, as well as carbon footprint reduction initiatives such as the country's largest district cooling system plant that reduces power and water consumption and carbon emissions in the building.
So yeah, pretty impressive portfolio there. So why now? Everybody, there's a so-called REIT party. Everybody's joining in. There's Mega World, other property companies. So what made Filinvest join this party?
As you know, Ralph, the REIT law is not new actually. It was enacted in 2009, over a decade ago. But at that time, when the IRR was released, it did not gain traction because of its many restrictions and impositions. So when the SEC, or the Securities and Exchange Commission, and also the BIR, the Bureau of Internal Revenue, when they issued last year in January 2020 new or revised regulations on the taxability of the REITs, as well as some amendments to the REIT law, we revisited our plans and then we evaluated our REITable assets. So, a key feature of the revised rules makes it attractive for the developers or the sponsors is the tax-free exchange, wherein the transfer of property to a REIT in exchange for shares of stock is exempted from the 12% VAT. So for us in Filinvest, we actually have a twofold objective in entering the REIT market. First, of course, is to provide an alternative choice for investments in the market. So for us, the REITs is a different class or a new class of investment. So it will help stimulate the capital market. The REITs allow the wider market to participate in one of the more resilient and growth industries, like in our case, our portfolio is the BPOs. So including the sharing and the economic returns of such asset class. And then the next one is, of course, to support the expansion of the projects of Filinvest. Our REIT offering will enable us or our company or sponsor Filinvest Land to recycle capital to fund our expansion projects. We have several pipeline of assets now under construction, so these proceeds can help us expedite it. And we also have over 400 hectares of prime land located nationwide. Some of them are in prime central business districts, and the proceeds that we will receive can fuel the growth of these projects. In the event that any of these new developments are infused into the REIT, we believe that such infusion will in turn add to the liquidity and size of the REIT company going forward.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier about the proceeds of the IPO. So can you elaborate on those projects? Anything that you can share? Although I know it's a little sensitive, or there are business secrets here and there. So anything that you can share, where the funds will go.
Proceeds from the offer shares will be used by the sponsor, Filinvest Land Inc., or FLI, for reinvestment into its real estate projects in the Philippines within 1 year from the receipt of the proceeds. This is pursuant to the revised implementing rules and regulations of the Philippine REIT Act of 2009. So this includes the capital expenditures for the construction of office buildings, residential, mid-rise buildings, and industrial warehouses, as well as raw land acquisition. So some portion will also go to the capital expenditures for retail malls and the expansion of the district cooling system in Northgate Cyber Zone.
So nothing on debt or something like that, because other companies that recently went public partially used their proceeds for debt.
Actually, the REIT law requires a reinvestment plan. So there is a submitted plan, and then we have to abide by the reinvestment plan. So this will also go to the projects of FLI.
Okay, so another issue here is that the property sector was severely hit by the pandemic. Marami nagsara na businesses, lots of office space here and there. There's actually a drop in rental income, even tenants leaving and moving to the provinces, back to their homes because of the work from home setup. So, what's the impact of the pandemic, and when will we see the rebound? Or better yet, is there already a rebound?
So our portfolio has proven to be stable and resilient throughout the pandemic, as 88% of our locators belong to the strong global and multinational BPO and ROHQ firms. No? So the Philippines is one of the most attractive BPO markets globally. So there are more than 1.3 people employed by the industry as per the ITBPAP website in the Philippines. No? So based on the latest report of ITBPAP, the sector grew by almost 2% in 2020, and they are cautiously optimistic to reach the 5.5% increase in revenues and 5% increase in manpower in 2021 and 2022. Although some multinational real estate brokerage firms have shared that they expect slowdown in the office take-up, this will only be temporary due to the impact of pandemic. No? So as per Colliers International, a third-party brokerage firm, in their first quarter report, they see the net take-up recovering by end of 2021, especially with the successful rollout of the vaccine. So moving forward, we are optimistic that the office leasing business will recover soon. No? So our approach is to continue focusing on top multinational BPO and ROHQ and traditional office sectors that are expected to continue growing, no? Including firms in e-commerce, medical, healthcare related sectors, and IT. No? So these are the sectors that we believe will lead the growth.
Yeah, so you mentioned earlier BPOs, but what about POGOs? Are POGOs in? Do you have POGO tenants in the portfolio that you have for the Filinvest REIT?
We have a very minimal 2.8% only of POGOs as of in March 2021 report. No? So we will continue to focus on our approach to lease to global BPO and ROHQ tenants, no, and not to POGOs.
So, what about recovery? I know you're cautiously optimistic, pero is there a quarter that you're really eyeing? Maybe third quarter, fourth quarter, maybe next year. Um, any cross fingers kung kailan?
We're optimistic that it comes in soon, very soon.
Okay. So actually, lots of investors are interested already. So they also want to know how profitable the REIT IPO for them will be. So any prospects for that? Any assurances?
There are actually two sources of growth for the REIT, no, for the Filinvest REIT. It's organic and then inorganic. So, in terms of organic sources, Phil REIT has a strong growth potential from its tenancy. So over the last 15 years, about 90% of our leases have been renewed. So this highlights that we have a very close and long-term formidable relationships with our tenants. And then last year, that's a pandemic year, no? So in the middle of pandemic or at the height, no, in 2020, 99% of our expiries or more than 52,500 square meters were renewed with rents higher than, slightly higher than previous year's escalated rates. And our portfolio has a fixed contractual escalations averaging 5% per annum. We also have a well-spread lease maturity profile with only 10.7% of GLA expiring in 2021. In terms of inorganic sources, FLI also or FilREIT also has a strong growth potential coming from the sponsor's deep portfolio and extensive CPD land bank, which are located in the major hubs. So the Filinvest REIT will have access to this inorganic growth through acquisitions with a potential pool from 315,000 square meter of office GLA that's already in the pipeline owned by Filinvest. So in terms of dividend, our policy is to adhere to the minimum required payout ratio of 90% of the distributable income. However, in our forecast, we believe that we can implement a 100% payout ratio based on our adjusted funds from operations for the years 2021 and 2022.
Can you give details on your upcoming roadshow? Where are you going? Where do you expect? Who are your potential investors? If you can share some of those details. I know you're pretty guarded right now because the SECs, all eyes are on you, the PSE, the SEC, but I just can't help but ask these.
I don't think we can say the names of the prospective investors, no. But our roadshow is scheduled to start tomorrow up to the 19th, and then our schedule for the pricing will be on the 19th. Our target listing is in August 12th.
Okay. I just had to push that, no?
Yeah,
But
hope you understand. Yeah.
yes. So there's a very you're quite optimistic on the properties sector, but I'm sure you're also looking at the risks. So any potential risks that you're constantly looking at?
We believe that the risk for an office leasing business like ours is largely tied to macroeconomic factors. No? For example, the company is exposed to risk inherent in the Philippine property market, and especially here in Metro Manila. No? So we are highly dependent on the performance of the Philippine property market since our properties are all located in the Philippines. So obviously, the business and operations of the company will continue to be adversely affected by the global outbreak of COVID-19. No? So we continue to keep watch of the vaccine rollout and the IATF guidelines on workplaces. Perhaps closer to home is the general level of activity and growth in Filinvest City, Alabang, and Muntinlupa City in general. No? So most of our properties are located in Northgate Cyber Zone within Filinvest City, Alabang. Hence, the continuous growth and development of Filinvest City and the surrounding areas are paramount to Philreit's business and future prospects.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to circle back to my question earlier. As I said, lots of REITs coming up. What's so special about Filinvest? Why should investors pick you and not the others?
Well, our
Yeah, we
portfolio. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead,
go
please.
ahead.
No, it's okay. Go ahead, please.
Aside from being located in a very accessible CBD, a progressive and dynamic CBD in Filinvest City, where there is accessible transportation to all the workforce, no, we also have sustainability features, no, in Filinvest City, wherein we have the largest district cooling system plant in the Philippines, no. We also have places for growth for our tenants in the Filinvest City area in Northgate Cyber Zone. And aside from that, it is a cohesive live, work, play, and learn environment wherein there is aside from accessible transportation, there is affordable living premises like retail and accommodation in terms of condos and residential components.
Hmm. Okay, so anything that you'd like to add, Miss Venus?
No, I just want to say kanina, no? So I think, well, we have spent so much and we have put so much attention on the sustainability of our portfolio. We have the biggest district cooling system plant. As of now, this is still the biggest in the Philippines. So this is one of the features that we have in our portfolio. No, so the DCS, or short for district cooling system, provides aircon for all the buildings that we have in Northgate. So it's in one plant, but it connects to all of the buildings. So by doing so, we actually save on the power or electricity and also in carbon footprint. And then all of our newer buildings are actually LEED already, as mentioned by Ms. Marissa. So I
Yeah.
think that's one of the differentiation that we have.
Okay, so help me imagine that because here I am in my condo and I have an aircon. I'm pretty sure that's not. I mean, it consumes a lot of energy. And malls, typical malls that we have, they have air conditioning. So help me help me imagine that sustainability factor in that cooling system. Can you describe to us how that works? And
Okay.
can you also tell us a little about that lead certification you guys were talking about earlier?
Okay, maybe I'll explain first the DCS, no, and then Ms. Marisol can talk on the lead. Usually, the usual design of our older buildings is when you create a building and then you have to decide on what aircon system that you will put. So, like in your condos, you have your what you call individual aircon per unit, diba? So usually it's window type or whatever is the aircon you put, but it's individual per unit. In also in the malls, it's centralized, but it's called one building, one cooling tower, and then one chilled water system. Okay, so that's the usual. Then we decided that we have to look for a better design because we always look naman for newer designs as we move forward or better system that we can implement whatever is efficient. So in 2017, no, we had this DCS plant in operations, and this is in partnership with our partner from Europe, which is NG, one of the biggest provider of a cooling system in Europe. The system is like this. You have a plant, and so you only have one chiller system and one cooling tower system, and then you have to pipe with all of these buildings. So you reduce the redundancy as well, because in every building you have to create redundancy. So all of these buildings are piped together, connected to one plant. So can you imagine the network behind or underground? So that's what we have there. So in doing so, you maintain or you can see the performances of the cooling of each building in one system. And then you reduce the carbon footprint by reducing also the electricity consumption. because you reduce all of this redundancy, and then you have this automated monitoring of it. So
Mhm.
that's
And so with that sustainability thing that you have there, the cooling system, how does that benefit your bottom line?
because you are expected to reduce consumption of the power. So there is expected savings in that. Yeah. Plus, of course, in the maintenance, you only have to maintain not anymore multiple systems. You have to maintain only one, and it's they're in also one location. So the efficiency is there.
So Ralph, your question about LEED naman, no? So LEED is leadership in energy and environmental design. So it is a green building rating system in the world administered by the United States Green Building Council, or USGB, no? It is centered on the efficient building performance. Hence, the categories involved is energy and water efficiency. There's indoor environment, and they have a rating point system. No? They have a rating point system like LEED certification, LEED silver, LEED gold, and LEED platinum. No? For LEED Gold, we are LEED Gold. We aim for LEED Gold. We have two buildings already that are LEED Gold, and we aim to continue that category in terms of LEED. So what it does to us is, of course, savings also in terms of indoor environment, in terms of energy and water efficiency, including savings also in terms of the tenants' indoor environment, like, for example, their lighting, no? Because we have a certain spec in our building facade in the glass structure that is required by the LEED gold certification to be installed. No? So this also helps the ambient temperature of the tenants, no, so they can lower their aircon in terms of the temperature and things like that. No?
Hmm. Now, other REIT IPOs are selling themselves as they're the biggest. Everybody's going big, really. But here you are talking about sustainability. So, for the benefit of prospective investors, why should investors look into the sustainability of the portfolio of REIT offering?
For me, this is the only way to go. The only way to go is really to be sustainable, no? To cut on green gas emissions, to cut on water and energy consumption in terms of payment of energy and water consumption, no? To make it more efficient. No? So this is the only way to go moving forward.
Okay. So here in Business Sense, it's not just all business. We also want to get to know you because it's quite rare that you come to the public eye, right? So tell us about your pandemic activities. Any new hobbies that you've learned? Read any books or watched some movies? How did you keep busy amid the pandemic?
Venus, go
Well,
ahead.
ako muna.
You
Became
did
a
more interesting.
plantita. I became a plantita, so I started to do small planting pots through the pots kasi I live in condo so medyo I don't have a bigger space for agriculture or for plants, so I just put it in windows. So far it's a work in progress. Meron na akong bunga ng sili. And then recently I also
It's
have
expensive. So
sili,
that's
di ba? And then I also have would you believe, di ba? I planted squash pumpkin
Wow.
or
squash
kalabasa. And so
window.
gumapang sila sa windows. Gumapang sila sa window grill. So meron na akong bungang maliit pero hindi pa siya hinog. Hindi
Wow.
pa siya nakakain. So yun,
Oh,
maganda naman. Nakakabawas stress.
Yeah. Kemishi, kayo po, anong activity?
ako I did the meditation and breathing exercises.
That's good.
Nothing. So because there's a lot of chaos na around the world, so I wanted to really do deep breathing. And so I went into this, aside from yoga, this deep meditation procedure or process. And I've got to learn through the internet more on how to really do the deep breathing and to focus and to. So I
Mhm.
hope, yeah, I think it helped me a bit. So everyone is getting chaotic about, and panicking about this pandemic. But, at the end of the day, we just need to really take care, be cautious, social distancing, put mask, wash your hands frequently, and then maybe just, focus in terms of the meditating on the positivism or on the positive side of life.
Any learnings in this magto 2 years na tayo dito sa
Oo nga,
pandemic?
after 2
So
years na talaga
yeah,
tayo.
anything that you've learned, maybe change in leadership styles, or I don't know, anything that you've learned as leaders of Filinvest REIT.
We learned how to do the online.
Mm.
Online, we learned more of the IT tools. Like, sabi nga natin, we have to be digitally savvy. So, and then
Mm.
in the office naman, we actually accepted that some of the works can be done work from home. Previously kasi medyo close tayo dyan na
Mm, yeah.
everybody should be in the office. Pero now you realize that there are really things that you can, to certain extent, depends on the job. Some of the things can be done online actually. So, like yung meetings nga, di ba? Before you have to travel to go to the meetings. So now, you don't really have to travel. Even if you go back to the office, like now we are in the office, but we're still prohibited to do face-to-face meetings. So even if we're in the office, our meetings are still done online. So these things can be done also to certain extent. But there are also meetings that you really have to do face to face because you have to do with the big documents like for us in real estate plans. You have to see the plans. Tsaka, yung mga finance, accounting, mga Excel worksheets na ubod ng lalaki, yung mga ganyan. So, some of the discussions really have to be face to face. So, but those are the things for me, I realized.
Yeah, so do we is Filinvest looking at the hybrid setup for the long term, or is that part of the new normal, or are you going back to what was life before?
Well, actually, for us, we are on batch sked. So may phase batch 1, batch 2, different sked sila. But eventually, I think we will go back to the office. But then, as I said, there are new normal already, new policies that are new normal. Like, for example, the meetings. So not all meetings now, we don't have to travel anymore. So that's for sure that we will have to continue doing. So, and one of the good things that came out of this pandemic. So, bawas traffic tayo.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I think, Ralph, it just be temporary then, no? Although we're doing the hybrid approach now. Kasi really yung 100% work from home is not really for everyone. Eh. Even our locators told us that it doesn't really fit them, no? Because of issues about internet connections, unstable internet connections, because of data breach, because of there's a lack of community vibe. Eh. Iba talaga pag when you see each other face to face, 'di ba? But then again, these are the things that are allowing the reasons why we are doing the hybrid is because of the pandemic, but we see it temporarily lang talaga. No, sooner or later, we need to go back to the office really, primarily due to the items that I mentioned. No? There will be more on our end, it will be more productive siguro, no, when you go face to face na and go back to the new normal, no. So the new normal is we're back in the office, but then again, we need to practice social distancing. We need to wash our hands. We need to use face mask. The usual protocols, no. But then again, the need really to come back to the office again.
Yes, agree, agree. So, final words for the REIT offering, Filinvest REIT. Anything that you'd like to add before we end this interview?
Miss Maricel, ikaw na?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Ralph, for inviting us over. It's an honor to be here, no, and we look forward to, of course, a successful offering and launch of our Phil REIT. Thank you so much.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks so much, Maricel Brion Lirio, President of Filinvest REIT, and Ana Vinos Mejia, Chief Finance Officer. And
Thank
I'm
you.
Ralph Rivas. This has been Business Sense. Thanks for watching.